Welcome to Mindflow Radio.
We are creating conscious community by sharing mindful manifesting skills and transcendental music.
We are all in this together.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Media age, that's the rage, controlling your thoughts, you're locked in that cage. Media age, spend your wage, free your mind, lock the cage.
Free your mind,
turn the page.
free your mind,
Unlock the cage.
free your mind,
Turn the page.
free your mind.
Unlock the cage.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Media age, that's the rage, controlling your thoughts, you're locked in that cage. Media age, turn the page, free your mind, free your mind,
Free your mind,
unlock the cage,
free your mind,
turn the page,
free your mind,
unlock the cage,
free your mind.
turn the page. Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Media age, that's the rage, controlling your thoughts, locked in their cage. Media age, turn the page, free your mind. Mindflow Radio.
Mindflow Radio.
She's Jaylin.
And here's Monte.
And we're all in this together.
That's what I hear.
It's the truth.
It's April 2023.
Okay. We made it.
I know, it's kind of interesting.
Springtime.
I love spring. Spring is the best.
New awakenings, new beginnings.
New beginnings out.
I feel it in my mind too.
That's cool.
Maybe it's all the meditation I've been doing.
Yeah, nice job.
Perhaps. All the power breathing. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. My meditation is just an attempt to be sane. So
How's that going?
Let's say it's a process.
Okay. How's the process going? Process of staying sane.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster. Yeah.
Welcome to the human condition.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of astrology studying because I know what I'm going through and I'm trying to go into it as conscious and aware as possible and with as much mindful observation as I possibly can. And when I feel myself getting swept in the energy, then I can go, okay, is this valid? Is this true? And it can take me several minutes to several hours to get my center back.
So you're mindfully observing your own thoughts? Is that what you're saying? Your own energy?
Energy and mood, basically.
Okay.
Like depression has just been sweeping over me very quickly. And then I can more easily pull myself out of it than I have the last time this cycle happened. So
you can by mindfully observing it, you can pull yourself out
more
quickly?
Yeah, because I'm paying attention to it. I feel my attempts at justifying it. And then I use kind of like the truth continuum, but without really a scale. It's more like, okay, is this valid? No. Okay, so how can I get my heart rate back to center? How do I? Because I'm feeling it. I can feel the panic set in. I can feel the depression. I can feel myself giving up, wanting to run away, like fight flight is completely on. And then it's like, well, why is it on? And it's like, oh, well, is that even real? Is there a real threat going on? Or is it a perceived threat from basically a flashback or me kind of feeling into the energy and flashing back to how I dealt with it last time.
Okay.
Which is, it's a 30-year cycle. So I'm having Saturn go over my natal moon for anyone out there who knows their astrology. And supposedly that's one of the more difficult ones. So I'm just doing my best to breathe through it.
Yep. And this time you have all this mindfulness and Qigong and yoga training under your belt. You've done all the training.
Yeah.
So you have some tools you can use.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like deal with the storm.
Yeah, it's
and
quite
to calm
the
electrical vagus nerve down.
Yeah.
Ideally.
So that's been really fun. Monty and I have been getting into studying the vagus nerve more, and the timing of this is just so profoundly important because, like I said, I'm really personally struggling a lot, and so I would just start massaging points on my face or my ears or my neck and just be like, okay, I'm totally in fight flight. Like I've got to get myself back out of here.
So you're consciously trying to calm down the vagus nerve.
Yeah. And you brought it up. I think it was about a month ago.
Yeah.
And then I looked for my book on it, which I had actually either given away either given away to a person or given away to a thrift store. And I kind of remember because I was like, oh, this is heady and And at the time, I didn't give the exercises a chance. I was like, oh, this is weird. And I liked the information, but I didn't care for the exercises. So I just was like, oh, whatever. I read it, the end. And then Monte got all into it about a month ago. And I was like, wait, I studied that like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And
that's right.
And it made me look for the book and I reordered it, got it. Okay. I'm reading it now. I'm enjoying the exercises this time. And it's interesting how we can evolve and be more prepared for information. That's what I get out of it. Is, I had this information in my hand. I was reading it. I'm not a very dedicated reader unless it's a dedicated subject. So like right now I'm digging into my astrology manuals and getting into my Qigong manuals and then, it's like, oh wait, the vagus nerve is really important and
super important.
So now I'm, it's like I got that one downstairs, and when I'm sitting at the table, I'll just get back to reading that. And
great. I like looking at the vagus nerve like it's our body's electrical system. Mm-hmm. And it goes from our eyes down the back of our neck through the primal brain, and it goes around our lungs and our heart and our stomach and our digestion, and it like affects all of that.
Yeah.
Profoundly. And just in the way I got into it, and I came across it years ago too, and I just kind of didn't pay much attention to it. Mm-hmm. But then recently I do a free recovery group in La Crosse every week for people who are recovering from substance addiction primarily. I think my take on it is we're all recovering from something,
Yeah.
But just realizing that I think the reason we get into substances and become addicted is because we're trying to calm down our vagus nerve. Because when the vagus nerve is overactive, we feel terrible, basically. And we've learned that through using substances, we're able to like kind of calm it down for a little bit. And so we just get really into that. But then in the long run, it makes it worse. Because the substance becomes less effective, and we have to take more of it. We have to drink more and more and more.
And it's so temporary. Whereas, I was talking with a friend who was intrigued by DMT, and I said, we release DMT when we're in deep states of meditation. He got all excited.
I
was like, yeah, it's real, but a lot of people don't have the patience. To find out for themselves, and I've definitely witnessed it myself. And whenever I'm working with somebody and they start seeing colors in meditation, I'm like, yep, that's your DMT.
Well, I don't see colors, but I definitely elevate my mind state. Mm-hmm. I would say I get into the deepest state of meditation during power breathing practice. And just after a long breath hold, my consciousness is just, it's lighter and it's lifted, and I'm just more present.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I do want to go back to the vagus nerve and just share a little bit about the electric system, because this is something that I geeked out on, like I said, several years ago, and now I'm coming back to geek out on it again, and it's lovely. And I went to school to be a electrical, oh my gosh, what is
electrician?
It? DC. DC, not AC. And be a sound guy. That was my goal when I changed my life trajectory. I decided I was going to be a sound guy. And I went to college in Madison and learned all about electricity, and it was great. And then I finally made my way back to Viroqua, and I got back into my yoga and found out about the vagus nerve, and started to realize that the nervous system was an electrical system.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who it was that inspired me in that way. I think my son turned me on to some doctor who talks about it as an electrical system.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so fascinating. Like, no wonder we figured out how to make electricity, because it's in us. So therefore we can project it out of us and make power in our world. That wasn't exactly what I wanted to share. What I wanted to share is the word vagus means wandering or wanderer. Huh. And the vagus nerve is the nerve that supports the parasympathetic nervous system, which means that if you can activate it properly, then it activates the rest and digest nervous system. So we come out of fight flight.
Yeah.
And what I learned is that there's 12 cranial nerves that help us find food and procreate, basically. Find food, digest food, eliminate food, and procreate. And that's what these, the primal parts of our brain are for, is survival and procreation. And the vagus nerve is this one long nerve that winds around and branches off. And it's its own cranial nerve that does a whole different set of things, that rather than just help us survive, it helps us to come into rest and digest. So I think that's fairly fascinating, that part of our nervous system. But the way the nerves work is it's a bunch of nerve cells that have space in between them, and they send their signal from one cell to the next. So it's very much an electric system, its wires are have little spaces in between them for synapses. I think I'm saying that right, but yeah. So it's just this really cool way of seeing how we have the system inside of us. And then, what was it? 80 years ago? When did electricity happen? Somebody was inspired to recreate what they saw within themselves out in the world and plug something into it, and ta-da!
There you go.
Electricity.
And as far as Western medicine, they'll acknowledge that there's electricity in our body, but I think they struggle with the idea that there's healthy electricity or unhealthy electricity, which, it makes sense with you doing the Qigong and Tai Chi and myself with the Tai Chi that we get into this, and try and hone our own electricity. And
tell a little bit about John Chang, because you talk about him being the master of physical electricity.
Yeah, well, he's a Malaysian acupuncturist who has just this amazing control over his body's electricity. And there was a documentary, a public TV documentary done about Malaysia in the 80s, and they discovered this guy. They just ran across him. They went to an acupuncture studio because somebody was sick, and then this guy was doing all this acupuncture, but just with his fingers and sending jolts of electricity through his patients, and that's how he would work his acupuncture. And it turns out he trained with a Taoist master, John Chang, from the age of 10 to 18, trained every day, didn't miss a day, with his Taoist master who grew up in China and was really in control of his electricity. And he could generate lots of excessive electricity if he wanted to, and use it destructively or constructively, and this and this. But this John Chang guy really seems to be a master of his electrical system. And he's an interesting guy, and he focuses mostly, at least his beginning exercises are this meditation where you focus on your dantian, the space right below your navel, and you just put your mind there, and you just basically feel the dantian gently rising and falling. And you're not controlling your breath, but you're just noticing the dantian. And I've been doing this meditation every day now, just feeling the dantian going in and out. And then I also take my attention, bring it to the back of my neck for a few moments and relax that. And yeah, it really, and I began doing this like before bed, and then I noticed I was sleeping just great.
Nice.
Yeah. And for me, I a lot of times my anxiety can emerge in the middle of the night. You know, I wake up 4 a.m. Oh, I got to do this is going wrong, whatever, you know, the busy mind, the monkey mind, the 4 a.m. monkey mind. But I've been using this breath work, this lower dantian, just noticing the rising and the falling as a way of mitigating that anxiety, because the anxiety is the vagus nerve being overactive. And that's fight or flight, essentially. And it's that feeling, you get like a kind of a sick feeling in your solar plexus. You feel it, you know, and it feels terrible. And then that's where I just came across the idea of, that's why we use substances. That's why people are addicted to meth, for example, because initially it kind of calms the vagus nerve.
Focuses it?
Yeah. Well, it focuses the mind. It focuses the mind. I think it does.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never tried it.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
But John Chang, he's if he's still around, he's probably in his late 80s now. And I read a book about somebody who went, specifically, they saw him on this public TV broadcast. They tracked him down in Malaysia and they started training with him. You know, and John Chang could do things like knock stuff over with just his energy. He could light stuff on fire with his energy. And so to me, he's really the master of how to work with your energy. And that's why I've been into his meditation, his lower dantian meditation.
Yeah. And I've adopted that focus. Well, in Qigong, so I've been training in Spring Forest Qigong, and Master Chunyi Lin, who is the grandmaster of that style, he focuses on the navel. But in Tai Chi, I've learned to focus a little bit below. And so I've been seeing a fellow community member who's a medical Qigong teacher and practitioner, Erin, and she also focuses below the navel. So I'm just kind of exploring that on my own because, you know, here I am getting trained in this one style that focuses up higher, which has its own energy. And if you look at yoga, there's the chakras and there's all of these different energy centers. And so it's interesting how one tradition will pick some or one, or, you know, they'll have their specific focus on this is the most important, you know. And I've heard the heart's the most important. I've heard the navel's the most important. I've heard the third eye's the most important. I've heard the root's the most important. You know, it's very interesting, and I absolutely love my exploration of all these modalities so I can get my own take, because if everyone has a different important one, that means that any of them are the most important. So I've been going back to the lower dantian, and so when I guide a meditation, I'm inviting exploration. So it's somewhere between the pelvic bowl and the navel. Feel into that. Where do you feel this energy gathering when you think about an energy, a bright light of chi somewhere between the pelvic bowl and the navel?
Yeah, and something that John Chang talks about is that we won't get very far in this practice if we're not able to focus our mind. You know, and he said most Americans, they'll sit for an hour and they'll get like 2 minutes of focus.
I believe it.
You know, so that's something we have to work with, you know, and if you're interested in looking up John Chang, he's on YouTube, but you have to look up Dynamo Jack. by the way. So
lights fire with hand.
Yeah, he didn't want his name out there. So yeah, just look up Dynamo Jack and check it out and see what you think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to introduce the mantra that we're about to do. Like I said, I've done so many modalities in the last 20 years. I've had Pluto going through my 9th house. If that rings a bell for you, that will help you understand me. But if you don't know what I mean by Pluto going through the 9th house, I'll say that the 9th house is about higher learning and basically the search for your dharma. And
your purpose.
Yeah, finding your purpose. What do you need to know to fulfill that purpose? And this thirst for knowledge has been my guide since 2008, actually since 2003. But I've had Pluto going through the 9th house, and I can say that I've learned so many awesome things. And one of them was Kundalini Yoga. So I got a teacher training in Kundalini Yoga. And it was mainly, just like regular yoga, guided by the mantras, because I was intrigued in the mantras. So I decided to learn how to teach that style. And so I learned Kundalini Yoga, and I can say that now I still am just intrigued with the mantras, even though I know how to teach it and all that. And this next mantra that we're going to do is about courage. And it's about facing your phobias with grace and knowing that you're supported by the divine in facing those phobias and anxieties. And that chanting this chant is supposed to help reduce or eliminate phobias and anxieties and give you the courage that you need to move forward on your path and accept the changes that are necessary. So that's what this mantra that we're about to do is. We've done it a long time ago, and actually it is our I've got it on my phone so that it wakes us up every day. It's on our alarm. I love this chant so very much. And we're going to do it today. We're shooting for 11 minutes because 11 minutes in Kundalini Yoga is the length of a meditation where your nervous system starts to really give in to the chant. So, or the meditation, whatever is going on. But we're going to be doing a chant. And if you have heard this chant before, it's familiar at all, chant along with, or just breathe. You can focus on your lower dantian, some feeling for an orb of energy somewhere between the pelvic bowl and the navel. And just let yourself explore the feeling of this mantra, of this chant. I'll go ahead and say it now for you so you can reference it if you'd like. So this is called Chattr Chakkr Varti. It is from the last 4 lines of the Jap Sahib, which is the holy book of the Sikh religion. Chattr Chakkr Varti, Chattr Chakkr Bhugate, Suyambhav Subang, Sarabada Saraba Jugate. Dukhalang Pranasi, Dayalang Sarupe, Sadaang Gasange Abangang Bibute. And the translation is, Thou art pervading in all the 4 directions, the enjoyer in all the 4 directions. Thou art self-illumined and united with all, destroyer of bad times, embodiment of mercy. Thou art ever within us. Thou art the everlasting giver of undestroyable power. These are the last 4 lines of the Guru Gobind Singh's Jap Sahib. This mantra removes fear, anxiety, depression, and phobias and brings victory. It instills courage and fearlessness into the fiber of the person. It gives Sahibi control over one's domain. self-command, and self-grace. Recite this when your position is endangered, when your authoritative personality is weak. And that was read out of my textbook from the Aquarian teacher. And so the next 11 minutes, please enjoy this meditation. Chattr Chakkr Chattr Chakkr Suyamba Subha Sarabara Saraba Jugate Dukalang Pranasi Deyalang Sarupe Sada Anga Sange Abangang Vibhuti Chattr Chakkr Chattr Chakkr Suyamba Subham Sarvada Sarva Jugate Dukalang Pranasi Deyalang Sarupe Sada Anga Sange Abangang Vibhuti Chattr Chakkr Chattr Chakkr Suyamba Subham Sarvada Sarva Jugate Dukalang Pranasi Deyalang Sarupe Sada Anga Sange Abangang Vibhuti Chattr Chakkr Chattr Chakkr Suyamba Subham Sarvada Sarva Jugate Dukalang Pranasi Deyalang Sarupe Sada Anga Sange Abangang Vibhuti Chattr Chakkr Chattr Chakkr Suyamba Subham Sarvada Sarva Jugate Dukalang Pranasi Deyalang Sarupe Sada Anga Sange Abangang Vibhuti Chattr Chakkr Chattr Chakkr Suyamba Subham Sarvada sarva jugate dukhalang pranasi deyalang sarupe sada anga sange abangang vibhute. Chattr Chakravarti Chattr Chakkr Suyam Vasubham Sarvada sarva jugate dukhalang pranasi deyalang sarupe sada anga sange abangang vibhute. Chattr Chakravarti Chattr Chakkr Suyam Vasubham Sarvada sarva jugate dukhalang pranasi deyalang sarupe sada anga sange abangang vibhute. Chattr Chakravarti Chattr Chakkr Suyam Vasubham Sarvada sarva jugate dukhalang pranasi deyalang sarupe sada anga sange abangang vibhute. Chattr Chakravarti Chattr Chakkr Suyam Vasubham Sarvada sarva jugate dukhalang pranasi deyalang sarupe sada anga sange abangang vibhute. Chattr Chakravarti Chattr Chakkr Suyam Vasubham Sarvada sarva jugate dukhalang pranasi deyalang sarupe sada anga sange abangang vibhute. Chattr Chakravarti Chattr Chakkr Suyam Vasubham Sarvada Sarva Jugate Dukalang Pranasi Deyalang Sarupe Saranga Sange Avangang Vibhute. Chattr Chakravarti Chattr Chakkr Shuyamba Subham Sarvada Sarva Jugate Dukalang Pranasi Deyalang Sarupe Saranga Sange Avangang Vibhute. Chattr Chakravarti Chattr Chakkr Suyamba Subham Sarvada Sarva Jugate Dukalang Pranasi Deyalang Sarupe Saranga Sange Avangang Vibhute. So how do you like it?
It's pretty smooth.
That's cool. Yeah, I feel like if I could do that every day, I would soar through my obstacles.
Okay.
And that's what I came to recently. Like right now, I feel so much more steady, and chanting is a beautiful way of using the voice as a healing tool.
Yeah.
And I know my chanting's a little more melodic than chanting traditionally is, but I like it that way personally.
Yeah.
And that chant really does it for me when I need to find my center again. So
La courage.
Courage. Yeah, the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, the word courage comes from the French word la courage, which means the heart.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Get your heart straight and it all falls in line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think of it that way.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a little more complex than that, but
maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe just lead with the heart. Have love in your heart. Don't hate people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the complexity is not so much about the present moment, but and this is my experience and my opinion, but I think it's about past moments that have any kind of similarity or familiar vibe to the present can become a really intense, oh no, the sky's falling. Oh no, the shoe's going to drop. Oh no, what's about to happen? Oh no.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what PTSD is, is you have some little triggers deep in your psyche, whether you know it or not. And
then your electrical system just like starts buzzing and then you're in it.
Yeah. And it's not a choice.
No.
I mean, it can be a choice to see that it's happened.
Yeah,
and
notice it.
To get out of it faster than you have in the past.
Yeah, right.
But the trigger is not a choice.
No,
it's not something that, I think that is maybe the hardest part for people who don't have PTSD. because it from the outside, it seems like a choice. It seems like it should be. You should be able to choose not to be triggered by the bell or whatever it is, but you can work on reducing that trigger. You can work on acknowledging your triggers but when the automatic hits, it is not a choice. And then you're grappling with, okay, I'm triggered. Now what do I do?
Yeah, at which point, ideally, you want to go back to your training.
Right.
Right then.
Yeah.
Deepen the breath, relax the breathing, bring the heart forward, clear the mind as much as possible. Relax that vagus nerve.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. The piece that I'd like to share that I've found really helpful for myself and others is it's called the SCM, the sternocleidomastoid mastoid. I'm not good with the long words, but if you feel behind your ear and you kind of lean a little bit, you can feel that there's this diagonal muscle that goes from behind your ear. It attaches to the back of your head, and it goes in a diagonal all the way down to the collarbone in the front. And the short word is SCM muscle. And this muscle is very particular for the vagus nerve. And what I have found in my studies is that it's not about digging in. You cannot force the parasympathetic you cannot force rest and digest. You cannot force relaxation. It is a coaxing. It is an invitation. So if you even just simply start your fingers tracing from where the muscle begins, where it attaches at the back bottom of the head, and then follow that muscle diagonally all the way to the collarbone. And just do that like 10 times. This is a very simple way to bring yourself back to center. It's a way to say, okay, I'm triggered, and therefore I'm just going to gently trace this muscle.
It's almost like self-massage.
It is. It is self-massage. Yeah. Exactly. And it's a little more than that because it's the mind. You're using the mind to say, I'm triggered, and therefore...
Yeah. You're noticing it and you're working against it in a very gentle and graceful manner.
And grace and gentleness is like super, super, super duper scooper important.
Well, and I would suggest...
when you're working with triggers and PTSD.
Yeah, just making sure that the breathing remains graceful.
Right.
And fluid. Make sure you're exhaling all the way, but not in a forced way, and just a gracefully relaxed, full breath.
And I just want to offer that you check both sides, because there's two sides. And that's true for all of these nerves as well, that there is a right side and a left side. So they mirror each other throughout the body. And if you notice by just tracing this muscle from the left side and then tracing it on the right, you're going to notice that one side is more intense than the other, or at least I do. I definitely, like, I'm doing it right now, and my left side is just way more, I feel the tension, and I feel the sensations of pain. And so when you find those sensations of pain, first you're just massaging them. You're just tracing them. And then you go back and you say you have 10 minutes and you find one of those sensations of tension or pain. And you just gently press on it. Maybe like you're trying to find a pulse, but you're not trying to find a pulse. You're just basically contacting your nervous system and saying, hey, we're breathing gently, we're connecting, we're coming to center right now. I'm here now. I am here now. And then you feel your breath relaxing a little bit more. You might sigh, you might swallow deeply, and then start circling that spot. So you're just gently circling. Again, you are not digging. There is not force. This is not deep massage. This is a gentle circle around that point. And you go around that point 10, 20 times, depending on how much time you have. But the more you do it, the better. And then you go the other direction. And you just, again, follow the points all the way down the SEM. And if you can, do 3 points. If you have more time, do 5 points. And then do the other side and check it. What I've found is, even though these nerves are on the right side and the left side, the spots that are tense are different. So you just have to explore your own nervous system and your own body and check that out. So that's my tips for you this month.
Yeah.
And what were you saying about breathing? I was in the middle of something. So.
Yeah. No. I was just saying, what I've noticed is just when we're feeling stressed, which might be when we're triggered, or it might be just we're super stressed out, that if we're able to regulate our breathing, that through regulating the breath, we can calm down the vagus nerve. Mm-hmm. And I believe, just like the vagus nerve runs outside of our lungs. And if we can, as I'm breathing in, I just try and gently expand my ribs on the outside of, underneath my armpits, just real gently. Then as I exhale, I let the ribs come together. And then at the end of the exhalation, I try and notice the lower dantian moving in. And I use that breath to just relax my nervous system. And ideally, if I can be practicing that breath just as much as possible, that whenever I'm stressed, I kind of go to it. It turns into my go-to, because that's the idea. Is we want, in our procedural memory, which is in our subconscious mind, we want to develop the habit of whenever we're stressed, we mitigate it somehow by working with our breath, or by working with our posture, or by giving ourselves a little neck massage, like you were saying. We ideally, you want to have a variety of techniques you can call on. But the real deal is if we can get it into our procedural memory of every time we're stressed, we go into one of these practices, then we begin to feel more empowered over our triggers. And the more empowered we feel, the more psychologically healthy we are, essentially. It's when we're feeling disempowered that we have like tons of anxiety and tons of depression. But the more empowered we feel, just the more confident we become, and the more able and the more effective we are to like move towards our various goals and find our dharma, our purpose, and navigate through this super complex culture that we live in. But the idea is, the more we practice, the more it can be in our procedural memory, and it sinks into our subconscious mind.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I like that you pointed out that it's nice to have a variety.
Yeah.
And what I have noticed for myself recently is that variety is so key, because when my fight flight has gone on, I cannot sit and meditate.
Yeah.
And so the Qigong has become this life-saving agent for me.
Nice.
Because that's moving meditation. Qigong is moving meditation.
Oh, yeah.
So I found, like, even this morning, getting ready to record, and all of a sudden, I just got flooded with this deep sadness and feeling of disempowerment, like you're saying. Like, the disempowerment is a huge key here.
Yeah.
And I felt a loss of control. And it wasn't really founded, and I knew it wasn't founded. And So I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to chant. And I had like 5 chants go through my head at once. And I said, okay, chanting's not the way.
Right.
Even though I chant a lot, that was not the right way for that moment. And in my mind, I hear, just do your Qigong. And I was like, no, I'm going to journal. So I journaled for a little while about how I was feeling and about the transits I'm experiencing and how I'm becoming conscious of this da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I hear, just do your Qigong. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I started, and I do like a 30 to 40 minute practice. So it's like I kind of drag my feet like, I don't want to do this. And then I finally start. And the first 10 minutes go by and I start feeling better. And I start feeling centered. And then my breathing finally relaxes and my heartbeat goes back to normal. And I'm like, oh, right. So what you're saying about practicing is so key, and it's important for people to know for themselves and for others, for friends. If you have a friend that goes through PTSD and triggers and panic attacks, and it's a variety that you need. Even if you just share one movement and breathing thing, even something you just make up, something that you move your body with your breath, that can help somebody have that motion of flight without having to run, without having to hide. It's like, how do you honor that you have fight flight? Maybe you box the air, maybe you run, maybe you go for a brisk walk, maybe you do some Qigong, maybe you do some yoga with your breath.
Power breathing.
Yep. That's like activates the body like it's running, but it's not. You're just sitting there. That probably is the best sitting meditation when fight flight is engaged, because I personally have been witnessing this, and it is not an easy thing to say, oh, I'm going to sit and breathe. Like, it's just not happening.
Yeah. You need something a bit more energetic.
Yeah, something that moves the fight flight energy and it makes it transformable.
Yeah. And I'll just mention briefly this power breathing. You could just look up Wim Hof on YouTube, and he's got a bunch of different exercises, power breathing stuff that's very similar to the stuff I do. So.
Yeah. So let's say our adieus. We're very grateful for you out there.
Yes.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope that you enjoyed and got something out of this, and maybe have something to bring to your own personal practices and your own loved ones going through their struggles.
Yeah. And I mean, just beyond that, for me, I've really been studying the, ancient Egyptian hermetics and this John Chang, and I really am coming to the realization that our minds are vastly more powerful than we understand, and how powerful are they? I don't know, but it's almost like magic is real.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. So
to end on a cheery note.
Yeah.
Magic is real.
Magic is real. Have a beautiful month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.